Hey, friends. Amy P., the hiring dietitian, here to simplify the hiring process for all registered dietitians and CNSs, expanding their practice to include employees. And today I actually wanted to talk about something that's been happening a lot, but I've recently been involved in it with a handful of my clients, is an insurance audit. And so one of the things we are seeing, and one of the challenges, and one of the reasons why I am not a lover of hiring independent contractors to your practice, is you cannot tell independent contractors how to document. You can make assumptions that they will document in accordance to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and use a reference point like that, but you cannot require them to chart in the particular EMR. You cannot expect them to have particular context in which you are charting. Yes, the assumption is that the document is complete, but where it becomes a little bit tricky is a dietitian I used to work with many years ago, as a one-on-one client, reached out to me, and she was recently audited by Metro Plus, which is a New York-based insurance company. And one of the tricky scenarios is she has independent contractors work for her. Therefore, the consistency of the notes, as well as what is included in the notes, is not always consistent, right? And so when you have independent contractors, you cannot tell them how to chart. And so in the event of a medical audit, you have to really submit what they give you, because you are only able to control the outcome, right, which is the medical nutrition therapy. So you're basically giving them a free-for-all in your practice, not only just with your patients, but from a charting standpoint, right? You cannot say to an independent contractor, the note needs to look like this, that, this, so on and so forth, right? It's also a little bit tricky, or at least what I have seen in this space, is that not all providers are spending the amount of time that they should be with each one of these patients. And so if they are independent contractors, you really cannot define the scope in which that provider practices. And so this dietitian in New York, unfortunately, they are asking for $300,000 worth of claims back. That's a lot. I've never seen this before. And I think this is probably nuanced, and there's probably things that I don't understand or know, but it really made me think in my practice. So I have employees, but then I have a handful of independent contractors who only work a handful of hours and are highly specialized. So they work, say, in PDGI, and maybe they see like 4 patients a month. So they are really doing their own thing. But you bet your bottom dollar that everybody now in my practice is going to be an employee. Obviously, I have to put in a lot of thought into terms of like what that will look like, even for some of these part-time, very, very part-time contractors. But I am not okay. That gives me apprehension, because I want to make sure that everybody is documenting consistently. And once again, even though it's only a handful of patients each month, by having them as an employee, I can go through each one of their documentation. So with all of my employees, I randomly pull 5 chart notes every single week. I read those notes and I give the provider feedback. It's not even feedback. It's more criticism on what I need them to change and alter in those notes in order to make them what I would consider solid. So these things just happen to kind of come up. And so I thought it would be helpful to mention that you cannot control the way in which your independent contractors document. But as many of you guys know, I am doing a documentation class that is going to be so amazing. And I'm going to walk you guys through what these insurance companies are looking for in your documentation. And this class is going down Thursday, July 17th. I'll post the slide. I might be missing the date. I'm pretty sure it's July 17th, July 18th. I lied. But it's going to be super helpful. And if you are a practice owner who runs an insurance-based practice, I know all of you guys don't, you definitely want to come to this one, because it's going to be super helpful. And if you use the code DOC24, we'll give you 25% off until July 5th. So like I said, a lot of times and just to be very clear, like I am not perfect, right? And so when I am on the receiving end, or even as a mentor, seeing you guys do things that, or going through things that can be really challenging, it also makes me think and change my practices as well. So just wanted to reiterate that you cannot dictate how your independent contractors chart. Therefore, it might be a good suggestion, if this is something that gives you anxiety, to switch everybody over to employees, because then you can dictate exactly what your documentation needs to look like.